Hello everyone. Before we begin, we know there's a lot going on in the world right now. The situation in Ukraine is deeply concerning, as are the ripple effects in the region and around the world. Our thoughts are with those in the region right now and for peace and safety. We'll start today's show as planned, but we wanted to acknowledge what's going on first. Thank you. Hello, Forza fans. Welcome to Forza Monthly. I hope you're all enjoying 2022 so far and sticking to those New Year's resolutions, which was hopefully just to play more Forza.
Yes, so it is the Horizon World Cup. This is born out of the fact that I think all car enthusiasts have an affinity for a particular country's cars, be that you're a JDM enthusiast, you love German performance, Italian style, British luxury. You at home can pick whichever cars you like based on whichever country you have the strongest affinity for. Playing races in those cars earns that country points, and then whichever country wins will be a prize that will generate a prize that the whole community will get to enjoy. So this is the Neo EP9, standing for Electric Performance 9. It is an absolutely rapid, all-electric supercar from China, from Neo. All the notable, interesting stats about it is it has like a ridiculous amount of downforce, about 2,500 kilos of downforce, in fact, which, considering the car only weighs about 1,700 kilos, means it could theoretically drive upside down if it could go fast enough.
I definitely take a more realistic approach when it comes to tuning. You know, for me, it's about making sure players know the rules before they learn how to break the rules, and also just making sure I'm not, telling players, hey, set your slider here because it's good. I want to make sure they understand, what that slider means, what that's doing to the car, and kind of the background mechanics of the tuning and building system, which are all based in realism.
This is a new Discord community, just launched this last week, and it's already got however many hundreds of members. It's doing really, really well. It's to help new players learn the core skills of racing on Forza Horizon 5. There's a series of trials that you can take on, and if you complete that series of trials fast enough, you can see me kind of doing a few of them here in the background. If you complete them fast enough, then they'll give you a license in the Discord. And the harder the challenges that you can complete as you go up through the levels, the more advanced a license you'll get racing.
Now you can hear me. Hello, Forza fans. Welcome to Forza Monthly. We've got a great show lined up for you today. Now you can actually hear what I'm saying, so let's take a look at the schedule. Up first, we have a quick look at the Series 46 festival playlist for Forza Horizon 4, and then we'll turn our attention to the Series 5 update for Forza Horizon 5 and hear about some new accessibility features coming to the game. After that, Robbie4TV returns to our community spotlight. This time, we'll hear all about her new podcast, We Are Forza. Then we bring in the closer, Ali Tak, to run us through the latest community events. We have all of that and more for you before we hand it over to Playground Games for the full breakdown of new content coming to the game in Series 5, as well as what game fixes and improvements you can expect on Forza Horizon 5. Let's go. So let's get on with it by welcoming Playground Games senior producer Tom Butcher back to the show. Hello, Tom. It's great to see you. Hello, how you doing?
I'm really good, thanks, Leah. How are you?
I am feeling pretty good, thank you. So let's dive straight into Series 46 of Forza Horizon 4, shall we? Tell me everything that we've got. What's going on?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so the Series 50% will get yourself a Horizon Backstage Pass, and at 80%, get yourself a Ferrari 250 TR. The Summer 50% is another Horizon Backstage Pass, and at 80% you get yourself a Jaguar LW E-Type. Then the Trial Pista de Resistance, you can get yourself a Ferrari 488 Pista. And then rounding out Summer, dancing in the street scene, get yourself a McLaren 600 LT. Old timers, get yourself the KTM crossbow, and retro scrambles, get yourself the 93 Ford Mustang. Then moving into autumn. Oh.
Ooh.
There we go. 50%, get yourself a Horizon Backstage Pass, and at 80%, the Ferrari 512S. Then the Autumn Trial and Active Rod can get yourself the Plymouth Fury. And then looking at the seasonal events for autumn, we've got Summit or Nothing, the VW Golf, Let's Bug Out, the Hummer H1, and Lakehurst Laps, the Fiat Dino. And let's take a look at winter. We'll get there in a second. There we go, 50%, the ATS GT 2018, and at 80%, the McLaren 12C.
All about the anticipation.
Yeah, the winter trial, Billy Snowmates, could get yourself the ski hat reward. Thought I was going to get past that without laughing. Then the winter seasonal events, Jeepers Creepers, the Jeep Cherokee 2014, Snow Going Back, the 720S Spider, and completing the Monster Mash can get yourself the Ford F-150 DD. Then into spring, 50%, the Lamborghini Diablo GTR can be yours, and at 80%, the Mexican-based Vuel. Then the trial, Bring Home the Bacon. You can get yourself a Chevy Impala. And then the seasonal events for spring, the Veloster Raptor returns. Get yourself a Ford Raptor, the Street Scene Sunset, a Buick GSX, and the Old Smoky, the VW IDR can be yours. And that is the festival playlist.
Hey, there it is. Thank you very much for running through that with us. And if you want to hear more from Tom, he'll be on the Forza Horizon Let's Go stream straight after this. So stick around to hear more from Tom. Thank you for joining us on Forza Monthly, and we'll see you later.
Thanks, Leah.
Now, turning our attention to Forza Horizon 5, over the years, Forza games have been recognized for their accessibility features, and with each release, we've been able to make advancements and bring our games to even more players. Most recently, Forza Horizon 5 was recognized for innovation and excellence in accessibility, and today, we are very proud to announce that on March the 1st, players can experience Forza Horizon 5 with American Sign Language and British Sign Language in the game's cinematics. Here's a sneak peek.
Hey, Ale. How can I help? Jump in the buggy. I'll tell you the story on the way. Let me just get the door.
Is that key?
It's really here. We found it for you, Papa Fernando. But look at it. I've never seen a beetle like that. Oh, the weather's closing in. I don't like the look of the roads around here. You drive the truck. Got it. I'll have to put in a new batería, plenty of oil, llantas o eléctrico.
The team has been hard at work behind the scenes to bring this feature to the game, and a couple weeks back I sat down with Madeline Tate, a producer at Playground Games, and Cameron Akett, a consultant on the project, to learn more about this accessibility feature, and here's our conversation. Madeline and Cameron, welcome both to Forza Monthly. It's really great to have you both on the show, and we're going to be discussing the journey of bringing ASL and BSL to Forza Horizon 5. So let's start by telling everyone a bit about your roles and how you worked to bring this important feature to the game. Starting with Madeline.
Hi, Leah. Thanks for having us. I'm the producer for the sign language accessibility feature. So basically, I'm responsible for all of the logistics of getting the sign language recorded, getting it in the game, getting consultants' feedback on it, and bringing in subject matter experts like Cameron to come in and tell us what they think.
Thank you, Madeline. And Cameron, how about yourself?
Hi, Leah. Thank you for having me. So my name's Cameron. By day, I'm a teacher, and I specialize as a teacher of the deaf. So I teach deaf and hard of hearing children and young people. I'm hard of hearing myself. My first language is English, but my second language and home language is British Sign Language. And when I'm not teaching, I work as an accessibility consultant, giving feedback on deaf and hard of hearing issues related to gaming. And it was back in 2019, I was invited to Playground Games as one of the subject matter experts who sort of came in, shared experiences of being a deaf, hard of hearing gamer. And it was sort of from there that this process kind of picked up, and the feedback that I gave led to the inclusion of ASL and BSL in the game, which is amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, so Madeline, could you tell me more about how accessibility became a design pillar for Forza Horizon 5?
Sure. So accessibility has always been really important for Forza Horizon. I think we won accessibility awards for both Forza Horizon 4 and 5. And obviously we're very proud of that, but we also see it as a responsibility to continue to push forward accessibility, to continue making the game as inclusive to as many players as possible. And so when we were starting development for Forza Horizon 5, we made accessibility one of our core pillars. This means it got the same level of attention as any of our other core features like expeditions or event lab. And that meant we started thinking about accessibility very early. And as we were developing the game, from the start, we were always thinking, how are we making this inclusive? How is this going to be accessible from the bottom up? And to kind of get us going there, we started with the Xbox accessibility guidelines. Those gave us a baseline for understanding what are the different barriers players with different disabilities have. How does that affect their ability to play the game? And with that understanding, we were then able to go and actually talk to people within the disabled community and get their feedback on how different features were or weren't accessible and how we could do better.
And it's great that the community has been directly involved in implementing Forza Horizon 5's accessibility features. It means that like everybody experiences the game with the options they need, and they can all enjoy it to the same degree.
Yeah, definitely. I think we read a lot of guidelines, obviously, a lot of best practices. We talked to consultants, but really nothing has been as helpful as actually getting someone from the community in the studio with a controller in their hands and giving us their direct feedback.
Right, yeah. I mean, and Cameron, as a gamer with hearing loss, I mean, you participated in one of these feedback sessions all the way back in 2019. So what was that experience like, and how did it develop into like fully consulting on the development of sign language for Forza Horizon 5?
So the experience back in 2019 was really exciting because it wasn't kind of just me. There were lots of other people there as well who had kind of different accessibility needs. You know, someone who was neurodiverse, people with different sensory needs, with different physical access needs, all sort of feeding back to sort of teams of developers on their own very personal, lived-in experiences of how they access games and what makes life easier or more challenging for them. And then it was sort of through those sessions, speaking to developers, where sort of initially a lot of the conversation had focused on subtitles and captions and, you know, how can you improve that? And I think there's still a lot of work to be done there in general. But it was sort of from there that the conversation came up of me kind of explaining that for many people for whom sign language is their first language, that means that English is their second or even third language. And so if you're constantly kind of accessing anything, be it like a game or a TV series or a film, if you're accessing it in your second or third language, it's a tiring experience. You may not get all of the beats that are being communicated to you. You don't get that same nuance as you do listening to a conversation, right? If you read a transcript of a conversation and you listen to a conversation, it's two wildly different experiences. And actually a way around this where you can articulate those story beats and get people on board and understanding and, you know, enthralled by what you're doing is by using their native language. And I suppose it's kind of in that way that I kind of see the ASL and the BSL being included obviously as accessibility, but also a kind of sense of localization because it's a language option, you know, alongside French and German and what have you.
Fair. And I mean, adding sign language is not a simple process either. There's a lot of factors that go into adding any language voiceover to the game, right? You got like, you know, acting, timing, like cadence, interpretation, tone. So much goes into that. And with sign language, that's particularly true. So what's the process like there? And why is it so important to get that right?
You really hit the nail on the head in that it is just like any other kind of localization where you're fundamentally working with content you yourself don't understand. So from the beginning, it was really important for us that we had actors who were from the hard of hearing or deaf community. We worked with the Deaf Talent Collective here in the UK to help us find our actors, Louise and Chris. And from there, we got them on camera. They worked with an interpretation team to make sure that they're reading a script, but they're also understanding tone and nuance, irony and sarcasm, and that's coming through in their performance. From there, we took the videos and put them in game, and that's when the feedback loop really started. We started sending videos off to our consultants, to subject matter experts, and having these conversations on the dev team of how can we make this better, what isn't quite hitting, and what's doing well. And I think the very last step of that was pulling in Cameron to get feedback from someone not just as a member of the community, but also as a gamer, and to get both sides of that.
Right, yeah, I mean, like you say, adding sarcasm in sign language, that's not something I think you'd think about unless you were already involved heavily in the community and you knew the impact that would have and how necessary that actually is. So Cameron, how did it feel getting that email telling you that your suggestions, your ideas had been actually implemented in Forza Horizon 5?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty wild and very exciting. Sort of when I came along to the accessibility sprint, it wasn't something I thought would happen. It was very much a conversation of like, money was no object. You had a magic wand, like what would you do? And it was like, well, sign language, put that into your game. With no kind of real expectation that it would, lead kind of anywhere. And then to kind of get that email a couple of years later and kind of being like, hey, like, we've actually gone ahead and done this. And we've put all these other bits in with it. Do you want to come in and see it? I was like, that's actually amazing. That's incredible. Yes. And like, just glad it didn't go into my spam folder. So it's fun to be here.
I'll bet. So, Madeline, like practically speaking, in the game, how can people with hearing loss enable ASL and BSL, and how does that work?
So for all of our accessibility options, we wanted it to be as easy as possible to find them. So before you ever get behind the steering wheel of a car, in the title menu, you'll be able to see accessibility settings. You can go in there and select between ASL and BSL, American and British Sign Language. Additionally, you can also choose different backgrounds, different colored backgrounds to make it more visible. You can choose what location on the screen it will be in for whatever works best for you. And from there on out, in any cinematic, you'll be able to see a picture-in-picture window on the screen that has sign language interpretation. So it's in all of our cinematics, about 150, I want to say. And that's because that's where most of our narrative content is, so it'll allow players to get a better grip on the actual storytelling in Forza.
Yeah, and as I said, tone, intent, all of that's super important. And players who might not have been able to follow the narrative of Forza Horizon 5 before will definitely be able to now. And that's amazing to be able to understand the characters and the story all around them.
Right. I think subtitles have all the same challenges written language always has, which is things like emotional content and sarcasm and irony all get lost. And so it's really exciting to have sign language to fill that gap.
I mean, absolutely. So could you share the importance of games like Forza Horizon 5 adding options like ASL and BSL and like what new opportunities they add for people with hearing loss? And maybe Cameron has a sort of input on this one.
Forza isn't like an indie development. It's quite a big game from quite a big studio. And I think what it does is it very much kind of sets a precedent of kind of what can be done and what other studios could start to sort of look at exploring as well. I think it's such like an important first step and also such a nuanced first step. There's lots to learn. There's lots of new ground to explore and things to kind of work out and figure out. And so I think it's a really nice kind of stepping stone in that direction, certainly for the first time in like a AAA game of including sign language options for deaf and hard of hearing gamers, which is just cool.
Absolutely. You're paving the way as well, setting the example. And that's so important. That's how to make a difference. So Madeline, does this tie into the other accessibility features in Forza Horizon 5?
Yes, definitely. So of course we have high contrast settings and different subtitle options. I think it ties in best with keyword highlighting, which is a feature that Cameron actually also recommended we implement, which is where the actual keywords and the important information in the subtitles are highlighted. And that will help hard of hearing users who maybe are still relying on subtitles to go back and forth between the subtitles easily while also interpreting the actual sign language picture-in-picture.
So Madeline brought up a great point there about keyword highlighting, Cameron. So how does that fit in with sign language and what is that exactly?
Really good question. So this was based on my experiences. So I'm a teacher of the deaf. So by day, I teach deaf and hard of hearing children. And oftentimes when I'm doing my lessons, if I have a young person who only uses sign language, and maybe the lesson that I'm going through is maybe quite text heavy, what I'll do is I'll highlight particular words within a sentence on my presentation, so that when you read them, you're not focused on the connectives and the sort of the little bits in the sentence, you're focused more on the key bits of information. And I found doing that with my students that the way in which it's highlighted in some ways links up with the kind of the grammatical structure of BSL, because in BSL there aren't really connectives. And so just by putting a sentence together, like if I was to say to you like, Earth is the third planet in the solar system and it orbits the sun, for my students who only use BSL, a way to read that information might just be Earth, third planet, solar system, orbit, sun. And so you're removing all of the unnecessary language, so you're making it easier to pick up and understand the core concept of what you're trying to teach. And so in the accessibility sprint, one of the things I was feeding back was my experiences with my students and what I find works for them, for those students who are BSL first language users. And I was saying how, you know, it might be useful if there was a subtitle option where actually these key bits of information are highlighted. So, you know, if you are having to rely just on subtitles, then you can still very quickly at a glance pick out the key bits of information of what you need to do, where do you need to go, who do you need to find. And then if you're mixing that with, you know, your hearing and you're also having to read the subtitles, then you're able to kind of get a more complete picture and sort of very easily at a glance work out what it is you've got to do.
So before we wrap this up, have we got any final thoughts we'd like to share? Madeline, if we start with you.
I think I just want to say that we're still committed to growing our accessibility features, to pushing forward and making our game as accessible as possible to as many people as possible. So we did something new, we tried something for the first time, and we can't wait to get all of the feedback from our players and learn new lessons from that. Also, I hope this encourages other studios to follow in our footsteps and start implementing sign language as a core feature for their games as well.
Absolutely. And how about yourself, Cameron?
Yeah, I mean, just echoing that, really, I think it's important that my fellow deaf and hard of hearing gamers try this out, get stuck in, try this feature, find out what works, and comes forward with what they love, what they think needs improving. Because like any feature, it's like a process of iteration, and it's only ever going to get better the more it's used and the more people feedback and give their honest opinions. And I hope too, sort of going from this, other studios start to look at what they're doing with accessibility and thinking about what they can do to support not just American Sign Language and British Sign Language, but lots of the other sign languages around the world into their games, so that more and more deaf and hard of hearing gamers can enjoy those titles and have that same rich experience of gameplay and storytelling as their hearing peers would.
Great. Thank you both very much for that. And Madeline and Cameron, this has been a truly insightful conversation. And on behalf of the Forza community, thank you for your work in bringing ASL and BSL to life in Forza Horizon 5, as well as everything you do to make gaming more accessible for everybody. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
The ability to enable American Sign Language and British Sign Language in Forza Horizon 5 is included with the Series 5 update, available to download on Xbox, Windows, and Steam from March the 1st. And there's a whole lot more coming in Series 5 as well. Playground Games will unpack the entire update for you in their Let's Go stream coming up at the top of the hour, right after this Forza Monthly, so do stay tuned for that. And we also want to remind everyone that you can get your photos, designs, and best Forza moments featured on the Forza social channels, Forza Monthly, and even in-game by tagging them with these official hashtags. Here's a look at some of our favorite shots this month, and our community spotlight will be following next. Lovely. It's now time for our community spotlight. Regular watchers of the show might recognize our guest who joined us all the way back in 2020 to talk about her photography. And today we'll be talking about a new project of hers. So please welcome Robbie back to the show. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. It's a pleasure to have you back with us again. So you got a whole new venture going on now in the world of Forza, right? You recently started a brand new podcast called We Are Forza. So tell us all about the show. What is it about?
This podcast is about the Forza community. So it's about everyone who make Forza. So tuners, painters, YouTubers, streamers, everyone.
Yeah.
So that's yeah. So that's why I decided to dedicate this podcast to the community, and that's why it's also called We Are Forza, because we are the community. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's great because with such a varied amount of guests you can have on the show as well, there's just never-ending amounts of things to talk about, really.
Yes.
So, I mean, you are well known in the community for your photography, but podcasting is quite a new endeavor for you, isn't it? So what was the inspiration for starting We Are Forza?
It was a mix of things. I like podcasts. I think it's very fun to listen to them. I like to talk to people and get to know them, to try to understand why they do what they do and how and everything. And I like the community spotlight because I get to know people from the community. But the podcast, the idea came last year when I was watching the podcast made by Charlie, Women of Xbox, in which we learned a little about all the women that's part of the Xbox family. And yes, it was when I started thinking about why not a podcast about the people of Forza.
Yeah.
So yes, I had that idea that why not, but I was a little unsure if I should do it. But then there is an episode with Kiki Wolfkill in which she says, and I quote, "If you feel like there is an opportunity on the other side, step off the ledge. And if it doesn't work, well, move on." So yes, I said, I'm going to do it. So I just sent a message to my friend, Yarako, and I said, I want to start a podcast. What should I do? And he told me, well, you need a new mic. Okay. Okay. I got a new mic and here I am.
Fair enough. Makes a big difference, though.
Yeah. Yes, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. We love Charlie, obviously, hosts the Let's Go live stream straight after this. And I mean, it's kind of, you've done an extended community spotlight, haven't you, really? You've kind of taken the whole idea and run with it and made it all Forza related, which is awesome. So tell us about a few of the guests you've had on the show so far, then.
Well, I have had a little of everything. I had some YouTubers and I have some streamers, painters. My biggest star so far has been Johnny Wana. I was very happy that he accepted the invite to be part of it. But I also have some people that not so much know in the community, but that's the point of this podcast. I want that the people get to know other people. So that's why people say, but who is Coffee? Coffee, it's a nice YouTuber. He is funny. It's very funny. His videos. People should watch it and enjoy his ideas, everything he does. And what about Jake and his liveries? And he likes comics. He draw comics. He has a comic books. Sorry. So it's funny to get to know these people better because maybe you don't know what they do besides playing Forza. So yes. Yes, I think I didn't reply your question.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. No, you get to know the people behind the names.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
I know you had like PTG Jamie on the show as well. I know you mentioned.
Yes. Yes, I had him when I talked about the PTG team. So we were able to talk about how the PTG started. Since last year they had their 10th anniversary. So it was nice to get to know how they started. They were a very small group, and nowadays they are so many PTG guys, like I call them.
Yeah.
So it was very nice to know how everything happened.
Yeah.
It's nice.
I mean, because you hear their names a lot, especially on Forza Monthly, when I do the esports roundup with Ali.
Yes.
You hear all these names, and it
Yeah.
must be really nice to put like a personality and a face
Yes.
to the name and like
Yes.
experience
Yes,
them as people.
know people better. Yes,
Yes,
they are.
absolutely.
They don't only play Forza, they do other things also.
I love that,
Yes.
yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
do you have like a certain set of questions you ask your guests to get to know them a little better? And what kind of things do you talk to your guests about on your show?
I have a few questions that I ask all my guests, like when they played Forza for the first time, or which Forza was the first one they
Yeah.
played, favorite car, favorite track, or the track they don't like, because everyone doesn't like one track. So that's some general questions, and then of course after that I go a little more specific to what they do. So if it's a YouTuber, I will ask, how come you decide to start this YouTube channel? Or if it's a painter, how come you decide to start painting cars? So there are different reasons. So PTG Stutzby, he started because of the money. He
Fair
needed,
enough.
yes,
Brutal
he
honesty.
needed, needed some, yes, but he needed some in-game credits, so he started painting.
That is
So
fair.
it was nice. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we have a clip from your show, Respect, so let's stick that on and watch it and see what it's all about.
Yeah. Have you been to Barcelona?
No.
You should.
I want to go so
You
bad.
should. It's beautiful.
I know. I've seen many pictures and many videos about it, but
Yeah,
I've
I
never
will
been.
send some pictures of me in Barcelona. Just say, "Woohoo, loser."
I want to go so bad. Damn it. Loser.
Ourselves, we are Forza, maybe. That might be better.
Nice.
You know that this name's taken.
Oh.
But go for it.
She caught us. She caught us, guys.
But I think PTG sounds much better than WOF. So it's very new, the magazine.
Very, very new.
Yeah,
Don't we?
yeah,
Like,
very new.
we are still learning ourselves. Don't we?
Okay.
Because we don't know what we're doing, and that's the
No, we actually don't.
That's
I
the
don't
God
know
honest
what
truth.
I'm doing either here with this podcast.
Such a variety of guests there. I mean, so you've. It looks like they're not all from the same episode, I assume. So it looks like you've done quite a few episodes so far. So, like, how many episodes are you up to now?
12.
12. Jeez.
episodes, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any like consistent guests and stuff? Is it going quite well?
Yes. Yes, it's fun. Yes, I would say yes. Sometimes people say no to me. They don't want, maybe they are too shy, and I understand. But
Yeah.
yes, it's fun, and I'm looking forward to more 12 and 36 and 50 episodes forward.
Absolutely. I mean, it's hard, to get on a camera and talk about things, especially if you've never done that before in front of an audience. It's terrifying. When you do it every
Yes.
day, you kind of underestimate that. But I imagine for some
Yes.
people, it's a little bit intimidating almost. But I mean, with that in mind, is this something that comes naturally to you, or is this something you really have to like dig deep and try really hard to do?
Well, I am a shy person. And I don't like to bother people also. So it's
I'm the exact
I need
same.
to put
I completely understand.
Sometimes I have to send invites to people who would like to be on my podcast, and it's hard because I said no, I don't want to bother to bother that person. No, but I end up doing it, and I say, well, the worst case scenario, the person will just say no, I don't want, thank you.
Exactly.
But after I am recording the podcast, I have talked a little to the person, it gets better. So it comes more naturally, but it's not so easy to start. But yes, I like to talk, to get to know people. So yes, I think it's a mix between it's easy and it's not easy for me to do this.
Yeah.
But I
And
have
I'll let you
fun,
in on
and
a
that's what
secret, though.
matters.
And you improve every time. But I'll let you in on a secret. A lot of the time when you do record like interviews and things like that, you actually go through the whole interview and then you re-record the beginning, because by the end of the interview, you're all like, you know, you're fine. You're all loosened up and you're feeling a bit more confident and stuff. So the beginning of an interview will always feel really stiff and weird. But then if you go back at the end and re-record the beginning, it's like, oh, it feels great.
Exactly. Yeah,
Well,
that's true. It's
pretty
the
consistent.
end
They do that
much
quite a
better than
lot.
start. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're all warmed up to each other. You understand the sense of humor and stuff.
Yes.
But
Yes.
so you are natively from Brazil, and you've actually done a couple of shows with other Brazilian guests in Portuguese as well. So who did you have on, and what was that like?
Well, so far I have had only 2 episodes in Portuguese. The first one was the Brazilian Twitch partner, Muca Romero. So he is a streamer, but he's also a YouTuber. He started in a YouTube channel, and it's very nice what he has done so far with his own Forza community. So he helps the new players and he gives tips. And since the people cannot find so much information in Portuguese on YouTube, so he decided, well, I'm going to do this. And he decided to start streaming after that. So it was very nice to get to know Muca Romero's work. It's very nice, and people should watch him and get to know, watch the podcast, because I guess most of you don't speak Portuguese, because I put some subtitles. I put subtitles in English, so even though you don't understand Portuguese, you can watch and read it.
Wow.
What we talked about.
That's not a small job either, doing subtitles for an entire podcast. That's
no
big task.
No.
Wow.
5 minutes of a podcast was 1 hour working, because I did everything myself. So so it was a very long job, and yes, but I did it, and I'm very proud of myself.
Your hard work is appreciated. And I mean, so who was the latest guest you've had on the show as well? Tell us, what did you chat to them about?
Okay, the latest episode was with Forza Ervin. He's a YouTuber. He's not. He has a small channel, and he also gave tips about racing. And he doesn't play only Forza. He also plays other racing games. And recently, he was very popular on Twitter, on YouTube, because he made a nice video teaching people about the wheel, how about settings, about which one to choose. Or so it was a very nice video, and he said that even known YouTubers send him messages and asking some advice. Hey, which wheel should I build, a Trustmaster or Logitech? Which one's better for me? So it was very nice. It's nice to see that even though you are a small YouTuber, people get to know you. People will want to know more about your work, and everyone starts from zero. So
yes.
So it was very nice. It's very nice.
The size of your channel doesn't necessarily mean anything about how much you know or how much you can offer. It's just...
Yes, I totally agree with you.
So what have you learned from this podcast experience so far then?
I have learned that everyone starts from zero, and it's not easy for anyone. So keep trying, don't give up, and do your best. And most importantly, try to do something, be original. I mean, try to do something that you can stand out from the public, because we are many people trying to do something. And if you do something special, or maybe not special, but something different, people will not see you. And and hey, if you want to get also noted, just send me a message. Maybe you can be on my podcast. More people will get to know you.
Is that phrase, a rising tide lifts all ships, or something like that? It helps everybody. So
yes.
there you go. Yes. Great way. Well,
I help you and you help me.
Exactly. Well, it's been great talking to you today, Robbie. Thank you for joining us. And if you want to check out Robbie's
Thank you for
podcast,
inviting me.
thank you. Please do go check out We Are Forza on Robbie's YouTube channel, Robbie4TV, or any of your social channels. That's right?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye, Leah. Bye.
We're always looking for more fantastic Forza content creators like Robbie4TV, and if you know somebody who deserves a feature, nominate them for a chance to appear in a future community spotlight at aka.ms/Forza Spotlight. Ali Tak is up next with the community events right after this. Hello, Ali. It's great to see you again. Welcome to the community events. Your favorite part, because it's the part you're in.
Yeah, that's they're all my favorite part. I couldn't pick.
Oh, okay.
They're like children.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's
Hi. Yeah, good to see you too. Welcome to Almost in March.
Almost
been a
in
good
March,
intro.
yeah. This has been a very smooth intro. I blame myself. It's the last day of February. Yes, thank you. It's
last day of February. We're here.
It's difficult to be this awkward. So we're going to chat a little bit about Delta Online Racing first and foremost, aren't we? So I will let you begin. Tell us about what's been going on.
Well, I'm glad to get the chance to talk about Delta. I should have talked about Delta maybe like a year ago at this point. They do so much cool stuff in the community. They really put on a lot of racing, and like it's just been a perfect storm of stuff happening in the last sort of month or so with Delta that's made it possible to, or made, I don't know, for whatever reason. Anyway, I'm happy to be talking about them, is the point. They're most known for the Retro GT series that they put on every year. They also have a Champion of Champions award. They do an annual review where they go through everything they've done and like talk about it. It's just been published this week by Charlie T. So kudos to him. And they're also just a really big, relaxed community. They're on Forza Motorsport 7 and a racing league, I should have said off the top, but that's what they do in general. They've got some great series on at the moment, and they're kind of just between one previous series and the next one that they're moving on to.
Okay, all right, well, let's check out what they do. We've got a little highlights video here, so let's watch.
Welcome to another Sunday evening with I Love Commentary with Delta Live TV. Tell you what, the baths are unbelievable. PTG Active, poor start from PTG Active. Looks like clean start from everyone. We'll soon see on T1. There you go there. Yeah, there you go. Lippercott being cheeky there. DOR slow was going to drag around the outside. Then you got Maynard Wine Gums just creeping into the camera shot there. A little bit of trading pain from B&Q in the middle. Oh! And they got side swiped. Oh, what's this? Right. Doing a cheeky send. Snake Eye wins race 1. Well done. And it's lights on the way we go. For final time this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Oh dear. Oh, so. That's Mr. Aurelius. Oh no. So Flex is good at that. Right, we'll full send this. Hey, up. Liverkov wins race 2, followed by Flex. Are you not entertained?
Some fascinating liveries there, and some very messy racing as well. Those Arvars look like an absolute handful. But that looked like a fun series to spectate. Yeah, any thoughts?
Yeah, I love the livery with the Kiss logo on the
Yes,
back. That was,
I saw
awesome.
that, and I was like,
massive. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, big shout out to Kruki, who's on the comms for that one, and it always is with Delta TV. Does an amazing job with them. Actually, saw a little clip of him with the comms Bible through Robbie's section earlier on as well.
I was going to mention, yeah. I was like, oh, familiar face.
So nice to
there we
see his face twice on the show
go.
today. Yeah, this has been the Abarth Championship, the one that's just been running. It's actually just come to an end. Running the Abarth 695 by Posto. It's got a bunch of upgrades on it. Kind of runs a little bit like a TCR car, if you guys sort of know your racing cars, like a sort of light touring car. It wouldn't run, I don't think, in those series though, because it has a very short wheelbase, which kind of makes it a little bit snappy. You can see there's a lot of crashing in that race and in that series in general. And that's because the car, if it gets a little bit out, then it can really step out and swing back, and you'll be off in the barrier.
Tame it the whole time.
You do, yeah. You really have to fight it, yeah. And it made it a good series to test driver skill. Won by CCX Rye, so congratulations to Rye. Showed up everyone else and did a great job out there, yeah.
All right, so I mean, if we wanted to get involved in a Delta online racing race or championship, how would we go about doing that?
Yeah, so the Abarths have just come to an end, but the next series has actually just started, and that's a Ford RS200 Cup on Motorsport again. And so you can get over to deltaonlineracing.co.uk or at Delta Online Race on Twitter and get yourself signed up there. And yeah, I think you should. They're a great community. They are super relaxed, which I really like about them. And it's all about sort of fun and supporting each other with Delta, which is, yeah, it's a good place to be, and they're good people to hang out with. So I definitely recommend it.
Sounds like a chill time. So alongside that, we've got a big weekend of endurance racing coming up for the Forza Motorsport community. So what's happening? What's going on?
Yeah, so the next one up is the Tora Sebring 12 Hour. This happens once per year, and it's one of the biggest endurance races of the year for all the people who sort of sweat a little bit on Forza Motorsport 7 and try and be as fast as possible. As ever, it's bringing out all the fastest drivers. It's actually a pretty scary grid this time around. So it's going to be really, really fun. It's all happening next weekend. So it'll be this Saturday coming, I guess. And yeah, it's going to be cool. I'm always look forward to these because they kind of, if you win one of the big Tora endurance races in the year, then that kind of, it's the kind of thing you put on your Twitter bio. You know what I mean? Like it's like a life achievement if you can do it.
Put it on your CV, tell future employers.
Well, completely, yeah, exactly. I'd hire you. I'd hire anyone. Completely.
Hire you.
So yeah,
and
it's
you.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, all of the above. Just tick, tick, tick. Yeah. So yeah, it's that's it.
Yeah, I mean it's a big event. It sets you up for the year by the sounds of it. Are you going to be racing so you can put it in your bio, or are you going to be commentating or just watching?
when we win, I'll put
of
it
course,
in my bio.
when you win.
Yeah. So this time around, yeah, I will be racing. I'll be doing some racing, and that's with this a group of people who have I got my team. Race Boy is on my team always. PTG Commando, shout out to him as well, and LS Eternitum. So a couple of the streamers from the Forza channel are all getting together to put in our race attempt. But I'll also be commentating over the racing. So we'll have, I think, 2 stints or so of commentary at the start, and then also have some racing later. I think in general, the idea is to have 12 hours of streaming. Yeah,
right,
you can't get enough.
No, you're sandwiching it.
12. Yeah, exactly.
He's like,
well,
I'm going to do 6 mental image
6 hours.
I think you're just going to jump out of the driving seat straight to the commentator booth, but it's all in the same seat, of course, because you're at home. But straight in.
But Leah, right. I have like 4 screens around me. I have spreadsheets up of like the live timing. I get into this.
Wow.
I'm there. I got my little hat on. Yeah.
We need a behind the scenes of your experience, your endurance race, and of course the desk covered in all sorts of energy drinks,
coffee, and just more coffee and cold coffee in various temperature states. Yeah, it's
We need to pay someone to vlog really behind you for the whole thing. The Ali Tack endurance experience.
That'd be such a sad vlog. Someone sitting there being like, hour 4, he hasn't moved.
He's not stood up once. It's a medical miracle.
I think he needs to stretch.
So don't do this at home. So that is not all on Forza Horizon 7 either. There's a new Rivals event debuting next week as well. So what is that? What's going on?
Yeah, so much happening. So next week you can join Shannon McIntosh Smack Attack as we celebrate women in motorsports, and you can receive a special event-inspired livery just for setting a time. Also earn the super rare M. Rossi driver gear if you finish in the top 40% on the leaderboard. And for additional info, you can follow at Forza Motorsport on Twitter. It's going to be a cool one.
Excellent. We've got any extra details for the rival event? Anything we want to add?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, a little. I can divulge a little more. Give some more out there. Yeah. If you want to get practicing early, then you can get in the 2013 Formula Ford EcoBoost 200. The track is going to be Maple Valley full, and the dates for the Rivals event are March the 3rd through March the 15th. So that's coming up in just a few days' time. M. Rossi as well. A little bit of background on the driver gear you can earn, perhaps. It's been part of the Forza as an AI driver. And it was revealed in Forza Motorsport 7 to be a female driver, hands down the most proficient and successful driver who ever raced in Forza lore. For years, the name M. Rossi has struck fear into the paths of anyone who crossed her path, and truly has. I think we all know from the single player how terrifying M. Rossi is.
Excellent. All right, so over to Forza Horizon 5. You've been running some photo and livery competitions.
Every week, and it's been so awesome. I've got it's me, Jack Norwood. We've got Broken Vegetable, PTG Stuzy. All get together every week, and we organize these photo and livery comps. We've seen entries, more and more entries coming through. They're set up over on the forums, and people are adding more and more to them. If you win, then you get featured in game for your photo or your livery. And you also get the choice of any car in Forza Horizon 5 that you can choose to have. T's and C's apply. Of course they do. But any car star. And it's awesome. We've seen so many just amazing pieces of artwork come through from it. Some of my favorites were, I think, Greens put together this Star Wars livery on the Porsche, and every single side of the car had its own different, incredibly detailed decal. So this, like, the quality of the art is like, yeah, it's just way out there. Check it out. It's all on the forums. Get on in there and submit your art. If you have a photograph or a livy that you like, then send it on over, and we'd love to see it.
Excellent. All right, then, yeah, check it out on the forums. And then very quickly, we're going to have to go through the calendar. Show us what's coming up next month. Speed time.
Let's go. All right, well, here we are. You can see the Women in Motorsports Rivals we were talking about just a second ago, just there as the second billing on the calendar, so not long away at all. Toura's 12 Hours of Sebring, that's the 5th, that's this Saturday coming, and you can catch all 12 hours of it here on the channel. OMA World Touring Car Championship, that's always brilliant. They actually run it in a sort of tiered system, so if you can qualify your way into the top tier for OMA, then you're in for the series, I think, if I remember that rightly. OMA can correct me if I'm wrong, of course. Tora GTCC coming back, so that's going to be awesome. That's the global touring cars. I think I raced in it last year with my buddy JSR Type Rye, and then also PTG running a photo comp. That sounds really good. We're going to check that out. PTG Forza over on Twitter, and they have a Discord as well.
Amazing. A lot of variety as always. Thank you very much for sharing, Ali. Thanks for the community events update.
All right, cheerio.
And that is just about everything we've got for you today, but Playground Games is standing by for Forza Horizon 5 Let's Go to show you all the new events, cars, gear, bug fixes, game improvements, and more coming to the game in Series 5. So do stick around. That'll be on very, very, very shortly. But a few announcements before we say goodbye. Forza is celebrating Women's History Month in March, and starting tomorrow, if you head over to Turn 10 Studios on Twitter, you can learn about the women who've had impactful contributions throughout the automotive industry. And before we wrap up today's episode, we have an update for our players as well. As many of you know, the Forza forums have been a long-standing home for you to discuss all things Forza and share your in-game photos, creations, liveries, tunes, everything. And it's hard to believe that the current Forza forums are over 8 years old. And with that said, we're excited to share that we're currently in the process of upgrading them. So we're updating the overall user experience with a host of new features, including a new navigational layout, forum tags and email notifications, and faster loading. So the new Forza forums will also feature suggestion hubs. We love reading your feedback, and this will make it easier for us to identify the biggest priorities for our community. So next week, the Forza forums will be set to read-only mode to allow a successful transition of all existing content to the new forums. So please stay tuned to our social channels and ForzaMotorsport.net for additional updates, because that's where you'll hear from us on the new updated forums and when they're ready to be used. So whether you engage with fellow Forza fans on social media, Discord, or the Forza forums, we want to ensure our players have fun and safe social spaces to chat with one another. And finally, let's look at the stream calendar, because there's always more to watch on the Forza channel. Smack Attack will be on later today after the Let's Go stream. And if you tune in on Saturday, you'll find the Tora Sebring 12-hour endurance race we just spoke to Ali about. And that is a wrap for February. We'll see you all in March for our next Forza Monthly. And until then, follow the Forza social channels for dates and all the latest Forza news. Thank you to all of our guests for joining us today, and to all of you for watching. Goodbye.